Hello and welcome to The Verdict. I'm Talon Jones.
And I'm Alan Barty.
This episode, we'll discuss the explosive world of action movies, which are Die Hard and Rush Hour 2. This is going to be The Verdict. Spoilers ahead. The action genre is a big staple in cinema. It's been around since the days of silent films, and it's still going strong today. In the cathartic art form that appeals to the human psyche in every way possible. You could probably spend an entire lifetime watching everything out there with the amount of subgenres. The action genre has come a long way from the early beginnings. But one thing hasn't changed. They always end with the villain getting his due, in many creative and brutal ways. Die Hard is considered one of the biggest staples in action movies. It's an 1988 action film from 20th Century Fox starring Bruce Willis, and everyone assumed it was going to fail. Bruce Willis was considered a joke at the time when it came out. No one thought, every other actor turned down the role, including Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Even the trailer, people didn't expect much from it. It ended up becoming a staple of the action genre and getting 4 sequels. Let's take a look at the trailer.
It's Christmas Eve in L.A.
California.
Is Daddy coming home soon?
Well, we'll see what Santa and Mommy can do, okay?
And New York cop John McClane has come to see his wife.
I missed you.
Instead, he's going to have to save her.
Sit down.
Within this skyscraper high above the city, 12 terrorists have declared war.
They're about to be taught a lesson in the real use of power.
They're as brilliant
Because I am interested in the $640 million in your vault.
as they are ruthless.
And I'm telling you, you're just gonna have to kill me. Okay. We do it the hard way.
Now, the last thing McClane wants
Think, damn it, think.
is to be a hero.
Where's Holly? Hey, Tucker! Where?
But he doesn't have a choice.
What does he think he's doing?
Job.
They have already killed one hostage.
This channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
Lady, do I sound like I'm one of the pieces? He's inside? Who is he? Who are you then? You are most troublesome for a security guard.
Sorry, wrong guess, huh? Would you like to go for double jeopardy?
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, mother.
You just destroyed a building. And I am in charge of this situation.
I got some bad news for you. From up here, that look like you're in charge of Jack.
He is alone, he is tired, and he hasn't seen dipping squat from anybody down here.
Hey, pal, how you feeling?
All things being equal, I'd rather be in Philadelphia.
And you'll have it.
Only John can drive somebody that crazy.
He's an easy guy to like
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
and a hard man to kill. Bruce Willis, Die Hard.
Got invited to the Christmas party by mistake. Who knew?
So that was the Die Hard trailer. That was a little different from the one that was actually released in theaters a long time ago. That one had people laughing in the theater. They're going like, an action movie starring Bruce Willis, that TV rom-com guy. No one expected anything from this, but now it's considered one of the greatest action movies ever. And people are still arguing to this day over whether or not it's a Christmas movie. What do you think of this movie, Alan?
Well, I thought it was like great. Like this is the first time I've really seen it because I always seen it in parodies and people referencing it. I'm a big fan of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and the character.
Oh, Jay Peralta.
Yeah, Jay Peralta. He always references like Die Hard.
For good reason.
Yeah, and the thing I know about this movie is that it has the same actor who played like Carl from Family Matters.
I think his name is Rendell Johnson.
Yeah,
I think?
yeah, Rendell Johnson. I know he also appeared in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But yeah, this movie was like really, it was really fun to watch. Especially like thing I like about the movie, it did delve into like the relationship between Bruce Willis's character and his wife. Not the whole thing, because I have seen couples who have like really realistic arguments where you can tell they do love each other, but they just know when to poke their like buttons about when they want to win the argument.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people hate some of the sequels, because they got a divorce in the third one.
They do?
Yeah.
Spoilers!
You don't want to, honestly, I say don't really bother with some of the sequels. The second one's just basically the first one again, except it's in an airport this time.
Oh.
And the third one is actually okay. That one actually has Samuel Jackson as his partner.
Isn't there one where his son is also in the movie?
That's the fifth one. Avoid that one. Avoid the fifth movie. It's terrible. The fourth one's surprisingly okay. Live for Your Dire, but the one that fans mostly like, aside from the original, is probably the third one, mainly because of Samuel Jackson's character. He was kind of roped into this situation with Bruce Willis. Like, he's just a store owner who John McClane's on this like kind of messed up Simon Says game from a terrorist who's actually Han's brother. Mm-hmm. And this store owner, played by Samuel Jackson, is kind of roped into the situation, so he's like helping him throughout the whole thing. So it's like a lot of people actually really like the chemistry between Jackson and Willis. They actually had surprisingly good chemistry. But we're not here to talk about Die Hard with a Vengeance. We're here to talk about good old Die Hard with one of the coolest villains ever, Hans Gruber, played by the great Alan Rickman. What did you think of Hans Gruber?
Oh, I thought he would. Look, every time he was on screen, he was just like eating up the screen. Like another role that he's classic for is Professor Snape from Harry Potter, and like both of those roles, I kind of saw him embodying the same character, because he's just like eating up the screen. He's just like, he even acts like those like crazy like old school Bond villains, where it's like, hello, I am here to be the villain of this movie. I might not have that much depth, but I'm here to be evil. I'm gonna eat up this scenery.
Yeah, and I especially like that him and John, they were talking through most of the movie through walkie-talkies, and ironically, they had good chemistry. So when they first spoke together face to face, and John didn't know he was the bad guy, that seems actually really well done. Even Alan Rickman's kind of half-baked version of an American accent, which was okay, but I could like clearly tell he was faking an accent.
Yeah, there was like one moment where he kind of fell out of it just a little bit, and I was like, man, look, you're a great actor, but you are. You were struggling a little bit with this accent.
He's supposed to be playing a character who's not an actor.
Yeah, so. Yeah, I get it, but it's like one of those moments where it's like, man, it feels like you're just eating your nose at some times.
He was a cool villain, though, and no other villain in any of the other movies ever matched his. And like you said, he was like the perfect Bond villain, but in a non-Bond film. So it's something that just surprised so many people, and I'm glad this movie is a staple, and it's actually become a staple for Christmas because it takes place during a Christmas party. So a lot of people, myself included, like to consider it a Christmas movie, except for Bruce Willis. He will go to the ends of the earth to say, this is not a Christmas movie.
I mean, I guess the thing that I can see both sides, where, hey, like, it does take place in Christmas. There are, like, Christmas songs. It has a Christmas, I guess it has a Christmas environment to it. They do, talk about Christmas. But then you can argue and say, well, it's not about the typical Christmas stuff, not about trying to save Christmas or get a toy for a kid, or I guess, the typical Christmas stuff where it's like, hey, we have to save this in Christmas. We have to get toys for the kids for Christmas. We have to literally save Christmas. Or, hey, we're having to go to a family gathering at this specific time for Christmas. But I like the Christmas setting because it's like very different.
It gives it a new kind of atmosphere, similar to other movies that are supposed to take in Christmas, like Lethal Weapon or Batman Returns. Mm-hmm. It gives it this kind of atmosphere where it's both beautiful yet dark as well, because Christmas scene is like the brightest night, but it's still night after all. Mm-hmm. So it gives it this kind of atmosphere that you can't really get at any other time of the year. And plus, when I hear Christmas songs and it's not Christmas, I get sad. So I prefer to watch this during Christmas because it does have a good amount of Christmas songs. But we got to talk about one of the characters that's so underrated. I don't even remember their name. I don't think they ever actually say their name. But he's the hacker character for Hans Gruber. He's oozing personality. Like, he's like such an entertaining character. Like Alan Rickman's character, Hans Gruber, even says, like, so you can break the code. He's like, you didn't bring me along for my amazing personality. It's like, you know what? Maybe you did. You are very likable.
Oh yeah, like he was one of those characters where it's like, oh, I didn't really see that much in the trailers, that much, but
Yeah, they didn't put him in the trailers, but I was like, he's such an entertaining character.
does he ever return in any other sequels, or he's just like there?
Nope, just in this one. But I don't know why, but like, even when they're about to attack the cops, he's turning it into his own messed up rendition of The Night Before Christmas. It's like, all right, guys, well, the night before Christmas and all through the house, not a creature was scurry except 4 of LA's finest on the East Wing. And it's like, just things like that. It's like, he's such an entertaining character. I don't even remember his name because I don't think they actually said his name.
Oh.
Like, they might have in passing, but it's like, every time I think of Die Hard, I mainly think of him. He was such an entertaining character that I wish he came back for the sequels.
I don't know. I think about this movie. The thing I think about now is just like the cop, because we remember like making a joke before we went on of how like
Brandon Bell Johnson plays so many cops to the point people theorize it's the same character.
Yeah, he just moves a lot just to get away from Steve Urkel.
I actually kind of like that theory, even though it's like it's no way. All right, like Ed, like for one thing, he said his wife was pregnant with his first. Eddie had already been born for over a decade at that time. There's no way.
Yeah.
But he does carry over a lot of those personality traits of being like he's the only cop in the movie who's actually like thinking through the situation and is calm, and he actually is like can actually think about things through, not just going like maybe going by the book isn't a very good idea. It's like maybe we should listen to the guy on the inside. And all his superiors are just looking down like, you're stupid. You're just a uniformed cop, whatever. And yet he is the one who ends up being right at the end. So
yeah, like again, like just to finish it off, like I really did enjoy this movie, and hey, since Christmas is coming up, I guess I'll just watch it again with my family.
Oh, I always watch it during Christmas. The sequels, they're okay, but I like to think of this movie as a standalone film. I like to think that him and his wife ended happily ever after and all that. So, like that's the way I always prefer to look at it. But the sequels can be pretty good as a watch. So I kind of like the second one as a little double feature, and third one I think is a really good standalone movie. I don't think it connects very well to the first. I think the third one is definitely its own film. So I prefer to like think of it as its own thing.
Okay.
Because again, Samuel Jackson and Bruce Willis, they have really good chemistry in the third one. To the point where I wish Jackson came back for the other sequels that followed, but he never did because Jackson was doing way cooler stuff, let's face it. Like, he was too good to be in Die Hard 5, because that movie is awful. Even Jay Peralta from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, even he couldn't defend that movie.
Okay, so just like on topic of that, like are they making like a new Die Hard, or was that this like the end of the Die Hard movie?
I keep hearing they're going to make a new one. There's been rumors of a prequel film called McClane for years. Then I heard about another sequel that's just going to be called Die Hard, because you've been seeing sequels just carry over the same name for years now. So it's unknown, and then Disney bought Fox, so we really don't know what's going to happen with the Die Hard franchise. Honestly, I say just let it be. I don't think there's anything more they could do with it, and the first one I think is already perfect. So I think it's just a good time to wrap it up.
Oh, well, it's time for us to go to my movie. This is a movie I grew up. Let's be right back, and we're going to talk about Rush Hour 2.
Somewhere in the Far East, a deadly crime ring is about to trigger an international crisis. But they didn't plan on this.
I wish they all could be California girls.
Fall young, bye die day. I don't like my chickens live, okay? I like them dead, deep fried. You ever heard of Popeyes?
I want to show him a good time, Hong Kong style.
You get a massage from Chinese girl before?
Oh, I got that out. Oh, let me get her in the black, her in the pink. Hey, baby.
Hurry up.
What's wrong with you? You don't jump in front of a black man in a buffet line. Lee.
What?
Now I'm on vacation. I don't know him. I'm sorry, man. Oh, y'all look alike. There's 2 billion Chinese people here. Let one of them be your partner.
Now,
Lee!
Tyler! Don't worry, Chinese bamboo is very strong.
the vacation may be over,
I'm finna give you an LAPD.
but the fun
I'm an undercover agent. Show us a badge or something. Show it again.
is just beginning.
What the hell we doing in Vegas? We got the Mac out, man. We can't go in there like this.
What does it mean, Mac out?
Nothing touches this body but pure silk.
Absolutely. Would your partner like to be wrapped in silk as well? Because personally, I really enjoy it when couples dress alike.
I'm gonna go make a big commotion, then you make your move. You got it? This one is for Mandela!
This summer,
Have fun.
get ready
You want some of this? Egyptian style, girl. Come on.
for a second rush.
It smells good.
With the master of smash and the talker of trash.
I don't even know why the hell I'm even here. I ain't even Chinese. Uh-oh.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Don't nobody understand the words that are coming out of your mouth, man. Woo!
And welcome back. So Rush Hour 2 is a movie that I really grew up with. It features, like, the famous Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. And the thing I love about this movie is that, typically, during around the time, especially when the first Rush Hour came out, it was a very much hey, let's take two people who are from different worlds, literally, and put them together in a movie, and let's see what happens. And surprisingly, they really do have great chemistry. I do.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I know everybody does a Chris Tucker press to be hey, what's up, man? Let's do it. I got to the very high pitched, screaming everything, and
You mean what Kevin Hart's been trying to do for the past 10 years? Just trying to be Chris Tucker, essentially?
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, the thing about this movie is that it has the action, it has the comedy. Especially when it comes to the action, because I know Jackie Chan definitely does his own stunts during this movie, he does for all these other movies. And there are some moments, especially during the end with the bloopers, where there was one more where Jackie Chan got stuck trying to get through a window, or what was it?
I think it was I think it was a window. I didn't see the bloopers. I just watched the movie.
Yeah, so it basically gets stuck through this window, trying to escape these some dudes. But yeah, what did you think of the movie?
I actually really liked it. Not as much as I liked the first one a little more, mainly because that was also a fish out of water story with Jackie Chan's character. And Chris Tucker, he was trying to build his reputation up as a detective for the police department and stuff. So kind of both of those added together, I think, made a slightly better film. And I actually liked the story a little better. But the second one, it kept true to the comedy, kept true to the great action sequence, especially for Jackie Chan. He's considered one of the greatest action stuntmen of all time, even getting an honorary Academy Award for his stunt work. So, and Rush Hour 2, I think the Rush Hour franchise in general is the perfect way to show Jackie Chan in the Western markets. Because he was big in the Eastern markets for years at that time, decades even, with Operation Condor and the Drunken Master series, which only 2 films. But this was the first one. He had movies released in America before, but this was the first big Hollywood film that he starred in that made a major profit, and it really showed what he's capable of for Western audiences.
Yeah, and this movie takes place in the early 2000s, and throughout this movie, because I haven't seen it in a little bit, definitely was I don't think this movie can be how it is kind of today. I mean,
no, but
I mean, of course Jackie Chan is there, and you do have Chinese actors on set, and I forgot who directed it, but I'm sure there was Chinese consultants also.
I think it was directed by Jerry Bruckheimer.
Okay.
I think. I could be completely wrong about that. I think that he's the director. But I'm assuming they had consultants, like you said.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, because there's one scene where they're in the bathhouse, and there's one part where
I remember that scene
where Chris Tucker, I know it was him, but one of the robes of the bad guys actually came off, and the guy who was fighting was Chinese, and he was "Ooh, no wonder you're mad." And I was "Ooh, I don't think this will work nowadays."
Well.
I mean, I guess even now where they do make black jokes to also tie with Chris Tucker, so it's kind of things hey, we're making fun of black people all at the same time, and Chinese people sometimes, how they talk, and sometimes.
I do like that the fact that this was a movie with 2 minority main characters and it did extraordinarily well that was great for the time because that wasn't shown very often. Like, yeah, it was pretty new for the time, and the fact that it not only spawned 2 sequels and possibly a third one is coming. There might be a 4th film. They keep talking about it left and right, saying, we might be making a 4th one. I'm actually kind of excited about it, and the fact that that managed to happen at that point in time, it was actually very impressive. It definitely opened the door for a lot of minority groups to star in action films.
I mean, the thing about it is that before this, I know there were like other like buddy comedies beforehand.
One that comes to mind most that would be similar would be like the Lethal Weapon movies.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon movies. And it was that thing of like, hey, we're taking like, you know, the white guy and the black dude. I know there was one, I forgot the name of it. It starred, I think, not Eddie Murphy, no, Martin Lawrence, I believe, where he was a cop and he was hooked up with like this other cop. And it was like some buddy comedy.
The only one I could think of would be Bad Boys.
Not Bad Boys. It was like his other one, but
yeah, I don't know.
Like basically, there was this trend. I don't know if it kicked off with this movie where, hey, we have like the buddy comedies and the buddy comedies.
Oh, those were around for years. Like the buddy cops thing that really took prominence probably with Lethal Weapon. That was the first like really big one that was actually both critically praised and a financial success. But the idea had been around for years. You know, with Tango and Cash, Turner and Hooch, stuff like that. It had always been around. The buddy cop thing. It's been around for forever.
Yeah, but I think this was the one that really took another spin on it because,
hey,
instead of thinking of the black guy and the white guy, we're having the black guy and the Chinese guy.
Exactly. Something like that never happened before. It was always a white guy and a black guy or 2 white guys. This was the first time it was actually 2 minority groups coming. And that was actually really impressive for the time. Well, not really impressive. It's something that always should have been around.
Yeah, but it was, you know, it's a thing of like, hey, like, will this do like overseas?
It did. It did very well overseas.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this did really well in, you know, the Chinese market.
Most definitely.
I know some complaints nowadays is that, hey, like some of these Western movies just, you know, they try to pretty much be like, hey, like, we're just going to put this random Chinese guy in here just to appeal to the Chinese market. Or they would sometimes make a Chinese edit where they just have a random edit of a Chinese character for some reason.
The Transformers did that a lot. I know that. One thing about this movie that I am a little bitter towards of all the Rush Hour movies is I kind of blame it for Chris Tucker not being in the Friday sequels because he refused to be in Friday 2 or 3. I kind of blame these movies for that, probably because he was busy or thought that those roles were now beneath him. Or he wasn't getting paid as much as he would have for the Rush Hour movies. So I don't blame him, but I really do wish he was in those sequels. So I do kind of have a little bit of bitterness towards the Rush Hour movies because I'm like, I really wish he would have been in the Friday sequels because the guy they replaced him with, he was not nearly as funny.
I never seen the Friday sequel. Like, when we say replace, like, are you talking about it's to replace a different actor with the same character, or
no,
is it just a new character?
It's a different character entirely. They wrote off that his character went to rehab, and I was like, oh, come on.
I mean, the brother only smoked weed.
Exactly.
Like, you don't need to go to rehab for that.
Apparently, he smoked too much.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, but I'm glad he went on to do bigger and better things. And I really do think the Rush Hour franchise is a very important action franchise, a very good action franchise.
Oh, yeah.
And Rush Hour 2 is like the height of their comedy. Like the first one was unexpected success. The third one, that was kind of when people were winding down to it, going like, okay, we've had enough. Rush Hour 2, that was definitely the height. That was when it was at the peak of its popularity, and I think this was the most successful in the franchise, actually.
Yeah, and what I do love about the movie is that they do show like the strengths and weaknesses of Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker throughout the movie.
Most definitely, even though Jackie Chan has very few weaknesses, because he is just awesome.
Yep.
All right, but I have to ask, are there any honorable mentions that you want to recommend in the action genre?
Any honorable mentions? You put me on the spot. You go first.
Well, I guess I would say the original Lethal Weapon by Richard Donner, starring Danny Glover and Mel Gibson. I don't condone Mel Gibson as a person, but that movie I do think is very good, and may Richard Donner rest in peace. He sadly passed away, I believe. And it is a great movie. Danny Glover is like, that's where the famous phrase, I'm too old for this, that's where that came from. Danny Glover coined that phrase, and it's a great movie. I also got to say, like, Mad Max, any of the Mad Max movies, but mainly Fury Road. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and soon they're making a prequel movie based on the character Furiosa, and I'm really excited to see that.
I mean, I guess I can say in the animated form because there still is action.
Yeah,
I do love The Incredibles and everything because it does have like a nice twist on the superhero genre. I do like the action in there.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all I got. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Like The Incredibles is a great choice.
Yep.
That's all the time we have for today. Tune in next Thursday for our new episode of The Verdict. Thanks for watching.